Hello, you fucks. Welcome to John Solo's Beer Brigade. I'm John Solis, my buddy Andrew Gray, and I got to sneeze, but I can't sneeze. You know that feeling where you're just like, God, it's going to happen at any moment, but it didn't happen. So I guess that's
It's
where we're
yeah,
at.
it happens
Yes.
to all of us, and then of course it will happen at the most inopportune moment, like in the middle of a sentence.
Oh, yeah. That's exactly what we're doing. So, yeah, Jody's bringing back a log of mushrooms. Has Dominic done this? Have you done that? Have you brought back the log and you grow the mushrooms? Have you done
No,
anything?
no, I hate mushrooms. I absolutely detest the things. They're like eating dirt. So mushroom, if mushrooms in food is for me is the equivalent of adding dirt as a spice. It just doesn't work.
It's weird how our taste buds vary like that. It's the same thing that goes on with cilantro. Some people
Yep,
say cilantro tastes like soap to them. My
yep.
best friend
So
is
I'm
like
in the
that.
soap category.
Really? Yeah. It's
Yep,
weird how,
tastes like
and you know what?
complete soap.
She hates mushrooms too. Maybe you and Anna Bird have the same taste buds. That could be
We
like,
must.
yeah, it's the same kind of deal going on. But yeah, she's off doing the mushroom class, so I had to feed the dogs tonight, and the dogs they like it when I feed them because I give them an extra scoop of food. I sneak that extra scoop in there. And they eat like kings too.
In other
So
words, you give them a love. You give them an I. Give them a. You should love me best extra scoop of food.
I I do. I can't help it. Well, our, our dogs are like they only eat once a day, but then they snack throughout the day because if we eat, they get our plates. They lick the plates clean, and then they get
Hmm.
treats going in and out. So they snack, but they get one big meal a day, and it's a couple scoops of kibble, and then you got the hamburger on top of it. We are always it's Fish Friday on Fridays. We feed them like tuna with their food, and it's always a mixture of good quality stuff. But yeah, so I was thinking about you the other day too. And I know we missed this last round, so I haven't talked in a few weeks. And by the way, sorry about that. So we've been doing the gym thing, and we've talked about the gym a lot. But we started using a personal trainer, which sounds a lot fancier than it is. They're really not that expensive, especially when you go to the YMCA, which is where we're going. So it's like
Hmm.
$20 a session. It's cheap, but he's both of us are lifting weights,
Yep.
which I've not done that, Andrew, since I was a teenager. And I'll tell you what, it feels like I've woken an inner, like I should have been doing this all along.
Uh huh.
It's amazing. We're doing squats and we're doing all shits, bench presses, all these dumbbell things, kettlebells. You're swinging these kettlebells around. It's amazing. How's your workout adventure going?
It's going well. My weight's staying off. I'm holding it. I'm doing well. I'm pretty happy. Considering spring gets around and there's all kinds of stuff that gets in the way.
Yeah.
My yard is on a garden tour at the end of June.
On a
So
garden
hundreds of
tour?
people are going to be looking at my yard and gardens at the end of June.
Oh my God. Well, I mean, you're an amazing gardener. I've seen pictures out there. It's
So
amazing.
so that means that everything has to be perfect. So it's like every day I get out in the yard if it isn't raining and try to get something done because I want everything to look really good.
Mm-hmm. You
So
and
yeah, it's a lot of work.
you and Jody would love each other. And now, are you getting today? We've got like winter weather again. It's been happening the last couple days. Are you getting that right now?
Well, yesterday we had snow, wet winter snow rain mix. Right
Yeah.
now it's sunny.
Yeah. Well, our sun just came out, but it's only like 40 degrees or something here. It
Yeah,
was it was
it's
snowing
44.
earlier.
It's 44 degrees right now, with
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
sun out, and it's 44 degrees.
So when are they coming? Next week? You said next week?
No, no, end of June.
Oh, well, you got
End of
some
June.
fuck. Yeah, it'll
Oh,
be
come
perfect
on.
out there.
There's so much that you have to do to get everything ready and make sure everything looks right. And you have to start now. You can't start a week ahead of time with a weed infested tangle and come out with something beautiful. Doesn't
I've
it? It may work in the movies. It doesn't work in real life.
Well, they do those reality shows now too, where they got like the reality guys will come in and they will. It takes like a day, and they come in. Your garden is perfect in a day. It's amazing.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. And what they're doing is they're just pulling out everything and then bringing in new plants. And
Yep,
unfortunately, a week later, the weeds come back and it looks like crap.
it'd all be all right if it wasn't for the goddamn weeds. Um, So we got Fireman's Carry today. My plan here is that I'm going to read the blurb so everybody knows what we're talking about. And I'm assuming this releases today. Is that correct? It released this morning?
It released yesterday, so it's out there for their reading enjoyment.
What the hell are you doing a Monday release for? When did
Well,
that
it's
shit
simple.
happen?
It's simple. I got the date wrong and I couldn't change it.
Well, that makes perfect sense then.
I just picked the wrong date by accident and it was too late to change it, so it happened on the 18th because it happened on the 18th instead of the 19th like I meant. But
Uh, well,
okay.
it feels like old hat now. Everybody's read it already, but um, let's Fireman's Carry by Andrew Gray. Orphaned as a child, Jordan Kramer is a 28-year-old loner who lives for his work as a firefighter. It's who he is. But his life changes when, on his way home from a fire, he finds Benny walking along the side of an isolated mountain road. With the storm coming, when Benny indicates that he's alone in the world, Jordan follows his instincts and decides to help. To child psychologist Dwayne Hauser, Jordan was the one who got away when Dwayne got adopted as a teenager. So imagine his surprise when he's called to help a traumatized child and crosses paths with Jordan again after all these years. Jordan is still as he remembers, stunning and strong with a hero streak a mile wide. But Jordan and Dwayne understand a life without parents and swing into action to help Benny. The boy's life is a bit of a mystery, and as they work together to help Benny, they rekindle feelings both had kept hidden. The chill from years spent apart quickly melts away and old love flames to life again. While helping Benny process the loss of his family, both Jordan and Dwayne realize that their shared desire might be within reach, or they could have it ripped away from them all over again. That's the blurb. This one is to Trisha K., Raina A., and Anna M., and everyone who makes my stories possible. Man, your poor husband, he never gets books anymore.
Oh, he does get books. He's gotten over 100 books. It's just that now every now and then I have a contest.
A
If you want your
contest?
book, yeah, yes, comment, on Facebook that if you enter the contest, what the prize is, you can have your book dedicated to you.
I'm going to have to start writing in as my dogs. I'm gonna have Mayla and Rogue write in. That's fantastic. Um,
So, yep.
by the way, Jane says she adds plastic flowers to make her garden pretty, which is a pretty good trick, I would think.
I actually have I have some great big garden flowers that are made out of spoons and things that one of the local artists makes that I put in the front. So I always have color because these never fade.
Perfect. We're going to jump in here. I'm going to be everybody else. You're going to be Jordan and Benny. Is that correct?
Yep.
All right, here we go. Chapter 1. The phone chimed with a message and rang at the same time. Jordan Kramer snatched it off the coffee table, his feet hitting the living room floor as soon as he saw the number.
What's going on?
The chief's number always meant something important. Jordan loved his life and adored his job. As far as he was concerned, nothing beat being a fireman. His grandfather had been one, and so had his dad, bless his soul. It had been a fire that had taken him when Jordan was in high school, but that didn't matter. It was in his blood, and he knew it. "We have a house fire out near the base of the mountains, maybe a few miles from you. It's bad. Now, with as dry as it's been, we're afraid the entire side of the mountain will go up. We're on our way, but can you meet us there? Carson already texted you the address, and we have your gear in the truck." Jordan could just make out what was being said over the blare of the sirens in the background.
I'm already on my way,
He said as he headed for the door. So much for a quiet night at home in front of the television with a pizza and a beer. He hadn't even had a chance to crack the brew yet. Not that it bothered him. He wasn't going to complain. "I knew I could count on you." The call ended, and Jordan shoved his phone into his pocket, grabbed his bag of additional gear, and headed out the front door. His car was parked right outside, and he started it and flipped on the lights on top, pulling out and into traffic, taking the back ways as quickly as he could, heading north. He could see the plume of smoke rising into the air, and knew the chief was right. It had been weeks since they had had rain, and with the mountains parched and plenty of dry wood on the forest floor, the blaze could spread fast. As soon as he got north of Mechanicsburg, he drove as fast as he dared to the base of the mountain range that ran east to west all through central PA. He reached the address in question and jumped out. The home was already nearly completely ablaze, and he got his gear from the chief, pulling it on in a matter of seconds.
Where do you want me, Chief?
Jordan asked, and received a point. "You and Carson hose the trees and make sure the area is wet. These damn embers are going everywhere, and we don't want to be fighting a forest fire as well." Jordan nodded and got right to work. Soon water sprayed all around, and thankfully the house fire died quickly. A few small brush fires kicked up, but Jordan and Carson doused those fast, keeping watch for anything else that flared on the dry ground. Their quick work and the team functioning well together brought the situation under control relatively quickly, thanks to the chief's quick thinking and proactive approach to the situation. Jordan thought a lot of Chief Andrew Marks, and this incident only showed that his admiration wasn't misplaced. Once the chief declared the fire out, Jordan began rolling up hoses and putting away equipment. "Thank you for getting here fast," Chief Marks told him with a clap on the shoulder. "It's appreciated. We'll finish up here. Go on home and enjoy the rest of your day off. We'll see you on Friday, and for God's sake, have yourself some fun." The chief knew him well. Jordan had every intention of heading into Harrisburg to go to Bronco's on Saturday night after his shift, figuring he was due to get lucky. After that, he'd come home and go back to his peace and quiet. He'd learned years ago that it didn't pay for a guy like him to make long-term plans in that department. They didn't work out anyway. He gave a quick salute, knowing enough to get out of there before someone found him something else to do. Jordan climbed into his car and headed away from the scene, his headlights on. Night had fallen since he had arrived, and Jordan took it slowly as he headed back toward the center of the borough proper and his two-bedroom apartment over the pizza shop at the edge of the older section of town. He lived there for 4 years now and had the place just the way he wanted it. A few of the guys had hinted that they would be willing to share the apartment with him, but Jordan enjoyed having his own place. He was comfortable living alone and very much liked the quiet of his own company when he wasn't working. His sister Wendy had told him more than once that he was too much of a pain in the ass to live with anyone, and that at 28 he was already a curmudgeonly old man. Jordan couldn't argue with her. He'd had boyfriends, if that's what you called a guy you fucked more than once, and they all had the same opinion. Not that any of them complained when they were in bed, thank you very much. As he drove, Jordan turned on the radio for some music and rolled down the window. He smelled like fire and smoke, and now that he was away from it, the scent burned his nose a little, and he needed some fresh air. Jordan sang along with the radio as he went down the largely empty road, losing himself in the music until something along the side of the road caught the side beam of his headlights. Jordan put on the brakes, intending to slow down, and passed a child, alone, out here. He pulled off the road, got out, and approached slowly. It was a boy, maybe 9 or 10 years old, wearing clothes that might have been new 2 or 3 wearers ago. He stood on the side of the road, drawing back when Jordan got closer.
"I'm not going to hurt you, I promise,"
he said softly. He was well aware of stranger danger teaching in school, and he didn't want this boy to be afraid of him, but how could he not be?
"Are you alone? Do you need help?"
he asked, keeping his voice soft and staying in the light so the boy could clearly see him. The boy shrugged and looked all around, but didn't run. He blinked back to Jordan almost as though he wasn't sure what to do.
"Can you tell me where your parents are? Where is your mother?"
Jordan asked. The boy looked upward, plaintively, and Jordan thought he was going to cry. Damn. Well, that was an answer Jordan hadn't been expecting, if it was an answer at all.
"How about your father?"
This time the boy pointed up the road back toward the mountains.
"Is your father back there? Do you want me to take him to him? I'm a fireman and I promise to help you."
Tears rolled down the boy's face and his lips contorted in what Jordan could only describe as grief. But he didn't actually say anything. Jordan blinked, hoping against hope he was misunderstanding the messages he was getting. Okay, regardless of what had happened to this boy's parents, he needed to help him. Jordan thought of calling the police, but the boy looked half frightened out of his wits, and Jordan was afraid that would just drive him over the edge. Lightning flashed to the west, followed by a long roll of thunder. Rain was coming, and while they needed it, he very much wanted to get this child out of the storm's path. Jordan thought carefully, then decided what to do.
"Have you had anything to eat?"
he asked. The boy's gaze changed, becoming earnest. Jordan went to his car and returned with a couple of granola bars. He'd half expected the boy to be gone as soon as he turned his back, like some apparition Jordan had dreamed up, but he stood in the same place, as tense as a bowstring. Jordan handed him one of the packages and stepped back. The boy looked at it, rolling the package through his fingers before opening it. Then he took out one of the crunchy bars and ate it in 2 bites, barely chewing. After he ate the other one, Jordan got a bottle of water and another package of granola bars and gave those to the boy as well.
Can you talk to me?
Jordan asked once the boy finished the second pack and drank most of the water. More lightning flashed, getting brighter as the storm approached, the thunder growing louder.
Will you talk? Yes.
The boy said, a single word. At least Jordan knew he understood him and could speak.
Where did you come from?
Jordan asked again. The boy pointed back toward the mountains, this time saying one word.
Home.
Tears once again ran down his cheeks.
Do you want me to take you back there?
Jordan asked.
Is that where your family is?
He knew he was covering old ground, but he wanted to try and get a clearer picture of the situation. This time, he got a shrug, and more tears came. Oh, God.
You're saying that your home is up there, but it's gone now. That you don't have a home.
He wanted to try and get as many facts as possible. All he got was a nod as the boy rubbed his sleeve over his eyes and sniffled once. Then he stood as tall as he could, his face hard.
Then you can come with me. I'll help you.
There was no way in hell that he could leave a boy out here alone with a storm coming on. Jordan didn't move any closer, but held out his hand. He wasn't going to force the boy or make a grab for him. Coming along needed to be his own choice. So Jordan waited until the boy stepped forward and placed his much smaller hand in his.
Will you tell me your name?
Jordan asked, but it seemed the boy was done talking. Gently, Jordan led the boy to the car, opened the door, and pulled the seat forward so the boy could get in the back seat. He bent down to peer inside, and then looked back at Jordan before slowly climbing inside and sitting down, his hands on his lap and his legs bouncing. Jordan closed the door and went around to the other side of the car as the wind picked up and lightning, getting closer all the time, split the sky. A small cry came from inside the car as the thunder shook the entire world around them.
It's okay.
Jordan said as he got into the car and closed the door, put the engine in gear, and slowly headed toward town. From any other kid on Earth, he would have expected questions about where they were going, but all Jordan heard was the tap, tap, tap of the boy's foot on the floor. It was like he was totally confused and had no idea what to do or what was happening. Maybe the boy was in shock. That had to be it, with the way he almost said nothing at all. Jordan wasn't sure what he was going to do with the boy except try to get him some help. But first, he had to get them both out of what could be some nasty weather. So, a little better idea, he headed home and figured he'd call for help when they got there. He did call his chief and let him know about the boy and told him what little information he had. You'll report to child... Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
You'll report to child services, the chief said, and Jordan agreed.
Just as soon as I get him home and out of this weather.
As he drove, his mind went all over the things that he had asked and the responses he had received. Some of them seemed cryptic, and yet if he thought of them like a child, maybe the answers were simple. Maybe the boy's parents were gone, and the home he'd had with him was as well. That was sad. And yet something Jordan knew well, especially how it could make the ground under a boy's feet like it had turned to quicksand.
I'm going to take you where I live. Then you and I will figure things out from there.
As Jordan pulled up to a traffic light, the skies opened up, pelting down rain. Lightning sliced through the sky just ahead, followed by an ear-splitting crack of thunder that ran up his spine. The boy squeaked in the back seat, and when Jordan checked in the rearview mirror, he was nowhere to be seen. He leaned over the seat and found the boy out of the seatbelt, cowering on the floor, shaking in complete fright.
It's okay. Just relax and get back in your seat. I'm not going to let anything or anyone hurt you. I promise.
He tried to be reassuring, and he waited until the boy got back up before continuing out to his apartment. It was still raining when he parked the car in the lot behind the restaurant. He got out and hurried around to open the car door. The boy practically jumped out and ran toward the back door, shaking. Jordan hurried after him, surprised when he grabbed Jordan around the waist, hugging him tightly at the next clap of thunder. Once it passed, Jordan guided the boy in through the back door of the restaurant and to one of the tables. He thought it best to stay in a public place.
Let's get you something to eat and drink.
He helped the boy pick out some food, hoping the few words he actually said conveyed his meaning. This be Jane, the server. What can I bring you? Jane, one of the servers, asked as she approached. Who's your little friend, Jordan?
Someone in need of help.
Jordan answered. He placed their orders, watching the boy as he sat still, looking around and trying to make himself seem as small as possible.
Could you stay here with him a minute?
He asked quietly. She agreed, and Jordan thanked her and went to the other dining area just across the room, pulling out his phone, needing to make a call he hated to make. Jordan knew he had no choice but to call child services, though he knew the nightmare that could start. Still, he pulled out the card from his wallet and dialed, dreading every minute of it. Donald Ickle.
Oh, sorry, the thing went nuts.
It happens.
Sorry.
You're
This is
Jordan.
firefighter Jordan Kramer in Mechanicsburg, and I need some help. On my way back from a call this evening, I picked up a boy, about 10, wandering on the side of the road. He isn't talking much, but based on what I could get from him, I believe his parents are dead. He's scared out of his wits and barely speaking.
Where is he now? Donald asked.
At Joey's Pizza. I brought him here ahead of the storm, and I'm getting him something to eat, but I need help. I'm not sure what to do. He seems so lost, and
Jordan swallowed hard.
I don't want anything to happen to him.
We'll do our best for him. Donald sounded so damned clinical. Jordan sighed.
Look, Donald, I spent 10 years in the child welfare system, and I know how hard it can be.
Just saying the words hurt. Even his heart felt like it was being squeezed. Donald said nothing.
This little boy is scared out of his wits, so if anyone comes in here and just takes him away, it's going to throw him over the edge. As far as I can tell, this little guy's lost everything: his home, his mom, his dad.
Okay, I get it. I think I know who I can send over. I'll call him and ask him to come right over there. Keep the boy at the restaurant and in a public place,
Okay, thank you.
Jordan said, and returned to the table where Jane sat with the boy, talking softly. He didn't seem to be saying much, but at least he had lost some of his ghostly white appearance.
Thank you, Jane.
Jordan said gently as he sat back down across from the boy. You're a sweet boy, Benny, she said as she patted his shoulder before slipping out of the booth. I'll be back with your food in a few minutes. She smiled before hurrying away. At least she had been able to get his name. Benny. That was a start. Jane returned with drinks and gently slid a small glass of milk in front of Benny, who drank like it was the nectar of the gods.
I called some people to help you, and they'll be here in a little while,
Jordan said. Benny sat still once more, looking at Jordan with huge eyes filled with hurt, fear, and God knows what else. Jordan knew he had to be wondering what was going to happen next, because that was how Jordan had felt all those years ago. There you go, guys, Jane said as she set a pizza on the table for Jordan and a plate of chicken and fries for Benny. He looked at it like he wasn't sure what it was. Jane smiled. You'll like it. The chicken is good, and so are the potatoes. She nudged him, and Benny took a bite before eating like he hadn't had food in days. That's a good lad. She hurried away, and Benny barely looked up as he ate quickly. Jordan remembered the feeling of eating whatever was put in front of him as fast as he could before someone else ate it for him.
You can take your time. No one is going to take the food from you. And if you're still hungry, I'll get you more.
Jordan soothed, and Benny lifted his gaze like Jordan was crazy. That's Dusty. Mr. Kramer? Jordan lifted his gaze to the man who stood at the end of the table and nearly swallowed his teeth.
Dusty?
He asked, hardly believing his eyes. They had both been in a group home together. Dusty had been his first real friend, his first crush, and Jordan's first really big secret. And now he was standing right in front of him. Jordan found he could barely breathe at the sight, and for a second he was transported back to one of the few good days he could remember, when Jordan hadn't felt alone, and when he had needed help all those years ago. It was hard to believe that when he needed assistance once again, it was Dusty who came to the rescue. And that would be Chapter 1 of Fireman's Carry. It's like, I don't know if anybody ever told you this or not, but you should be a writer. It's pretty good. Good job. So this released yesterday. It's out on, I'm assuming it's Kindle Unlimited and all that good stuff.
Yep, Amazon and Kindle Unlimited. Yep.
Excellent.
It's out there, and people seem to be loving it so far.
Yeah, I enjoyed it myself. I will send you the link for this so you can post this up in your group later tonight or tomorrow, or have Jane do it or somebody. And,
Awesome.
And Really appreciate you coming on. This will be the easy part. Wave bye to everyone, and
Bye to
everyone,
everyone.
we will see you next time around. Have fun.